Big time rematch scheduled for this weekend, and this one is years in the making. Their first fight was at UFC Fight Night 56 in a main event of, and I want to make sure that I get this one right, in Uberlândia in Brazil, and it was Ovince Saint Preux finishing Mauricio Shogun Rua inside of a round with a check left hook on the back foot, which is something that we see very often out of Ovince Saint Preux. Shogun Rua going down, Saint Preux hammering away, and they were scheduled to rematch a few years later, but it was unfortunate the fight did not happen. But that first one, November 8th, 2014. I was in university back then, Matt. Where were you in 2014? Still in high school?
I was in grade 10 at the time, yeah.
Still in high school. So it's wild to think that these two guys are rematching this far away in the future. And it's really been mixed results for these guys. Not even since then, but just lately. And for Shogun, the 5-on-in is spread apart through years. It's 3 years and 8 months ago. He took on Anthony Smith in a main event across the pond where he walked in crying and he walked out losing very quickly to Anthony Smith. Picks up a big win over Tyson Pedro, the shock to many. He has a crazy fight against Paul Craig that ends up as a split draw. He then has a fight against Antonio Rogerio Nogueira that he wins by split decision in one of the worst fights I've ever seen. It was awful. And then his next time out, he fights Paul Craig in the rematch. Goes out there, has some of those quick blitzes that we knew in his time over with Pride, in his early time with the UFC. But for Shogun, he gets completely out-grappled and out-wrestled in the first round of that. He does have some explosivity to get back up. There is a point, though, up against the cage where you see Paul Craig getting the back, and Shogun, when he gets taken down in this attempt, he hits the canvas, he winces really bad, and then with his right arm, he kind of like goes to push on the ground and pulls it back and winces even more. Like, it looked like he got hurt. Gets back up, but then in the second round, some more explosion, gets taken down, back mounted, flattened out, Paul Craig hammering away, Herb Dean watching, and then Shogun tapping due to strikes. And that was just something that you didn't want to see. Taking on OSP, who, yes, he's been finished. Yes, he's fought at heavyweight lately. The Tanner Boser fight, he did absolutely nothing in the first round of that fight. He got backed up, did not strike, did not counter, had nothing. His coach said, okay, now you got him tired. You got to start doing something. And then OSP has that great, like, almost judo throw to get the takedown. Boser grabs the fence as he's getting up. Jason Herzog says, don't do that, but didn't change anything. Boser gets back up, hammers away, knocks down and out OSP. But now we're here. Ovince was getting ready for a fight at light heavyweight for that one. He weighed in at 230 against Boser. He was, like 240 when he fought Ben Rothwell at heavyweight. I don't see these guys, having giant issues on the scale, but again, 40-year-old Shogun and 39-year-old OSP. Who'd have thought?
So do you want me to start with the weight?
I don't know.
Here's the thing about this fight. If OSP can make 205 healthy and safely, I don't know how he loses this, if we're all being honest with each other. Here's the problem with Mauricio Shogun Rua's career, and no one loves this man more than me. Again, every time we talk about him, we just talk about how this is one of the guys who got us involved in MMA. We watched him growing up. His career in hindsight doesn't look that great. Like, Shogun only had one 3-fight winning streak in the UFC in his whole entire career. And when you do look at it, it was in, like, a weird stage where he beat Jean Vellante to end it. Like, he's been riding a lot off that Pride tournament win back in 2006, and we all talk 2005. We all talk about it all the time, and it was a great showcase. But he hasn't had a 4-fight win streak since then. And if we do look at Shogun as an all-time great, which I do think he is based on accomplishment, it is really hard to look at his record and think, wow, he was on like this one run that really puts him up there with the best of anyone. Like, it's kind of like Charles Oliveira. Charles Oliveira at the start of his career, not an all-time great at all. But if you just isolate the run he's on right now, no one can deny the fact that he is currently on an all-time great run. For Shogun, he was just never on one of those, and that's why it is hard to always go back and think, well, was he really at that world-class level? Like, he was even an underdog fighting John Jones when John Jones was only 21 years old fighting for the title back in the day. So people back then had even sort of tapered their expectations for what Shogun was. And I just feel like it's been a very, very long time since he's had a quality win against someone who was able to maintain in the UFC. Like, we're going through his record right now. Brandon Vera did not have the best run in the UFC. I know he's getting one championship, but still, and the UFC wasn't great. James Tahuna. It's a good win, but when you look at the losses around it, lost to Chael, lost to Dan Henderson, lost to OSP, he's beating guys he should beat, and he's losing to the more recognizable names at the top of this division. And even as of late, you bring up his win over Nogueira. It's a good point. A split decision win in a low output fight against someone like Nogueira, that doesn't give me a lot of confidence going into a fight against OSP, who definitely isn't in the prime of his career anymore. But does OSP eat one shot and go down? Okay, maybe he doesn't need a lot of shots before he goes down, but he can at least eat a couple power shots and respond with his own in a fight. I don't know if Shogun has that level of durability anymore, and the other thing is, OSP is a way better grappler than a lot of people realize, and yes, people are starting to get on board now. They know him for that Saint Preux choke, because it's not even the Von flu anymore. Everyone knows OSP for doing it. I think he's the better grappler. I think he's the bigger fighter. I think he's the more athletic fighter. I just don't know what Shogun's going to do to win this fight at 40 years of age.
To me, again, even in that last Paul Craig fight, Shogun still had that quick first step, that good blitz that you know him for, those... Like, who sizes Shogun's trunks throughout his career? They're the smallest damn trunks I've ever seen in my life. And into his 40s, he's still wearing these friggin'... Get longer shorts, man! It's embarrassing. Like,
he's a big Larry Bird fan.
OSP wears those long, like, compression shorts that go almost down to his knees. Shogun needs those, because they're boy shorts that you wear, like, on a weekend away. And Shogun's wearing them as a 40-year-old! And I'm not wearing them. I'm just saying. I take issue with them. They're very small. But for Shogun, he still has that very quick first step. He still has that good blitz. And then he backs up and then he goes again. And against OSP, you have those counters. Could Shogun damage Saint Preux? Possibly. But he doesn't have that same oomph at the end of his shots. And again, Shogun's issues lately in these losses are his defensive wrestling. It's been a problem throughout his career. We'll see if OSP goes after some of those shots, but you look at it in terms of the odds. Saint Preux open to minus 160 favorite, minus 250 right now. Shogun open plus 140, plus 200. We have a look over in Topology. This is a childhood idol, and I hate to say it, but over under 75% Ovince Saint Preux.
I think it'll be an 85 or above.
75 on the nose. So 779 total votes, 75% Saint Preux, 31% by decision, 64% by knockout for the 25% that have Shogun, 39% by decision, 47% by knockout. I think that Ovince Saint Preux wins this fight, and it's going to be sad for me in 2022 as it would have been in like 2007.
I think OSP stops Shogun, probably with a big kick too. That's the problem. On the outside, OSP has crazy power with his kicks. I know we haven't seen it a lot as of late because he's fighting heavyweights who can kind of wear on him with their physicality, so they're not giving him the range to set up with his own kicks. Shogun likes to stand at that kickboxing Muay Thai range and try to get off his own leg kicks. If you stand at kicking range with OSP, it's one of the worst ideas you can possibly have. Like, he broke John Jones' arm with a kick. That's a pretty big... No, sorry. He got his own arm broken against John Jones in that fight. I should clarify that. But his kicks were really good to the body and to the arms. And that's the thing that I do focus on a lot. Even if Shogun's blocking these kicks to the body and to the head, I still think they are going to damage him as the fight goes on. Whereas, unless Preux eats a big flurry up against the cage, I think he'll be the steadier fighter. And again, I like Saint Preux by finishing this. And it hurts to say that when I'm talking about Shogun Rua.
Shogun, in the first round of these fights, like 35 years of age plus, in the second round of his fights, he looks completely gassed in the second round. He's breathing heavy, flat-footed, loses the explosivity. So if he wins, it would surprise me this weekend. I also have Ovince Saint Preux coming up. Maybe it's not going to be in like 30 or 40 seconds like the first fight, but I do have Saint Preux to win by finish this weekend. So let us know down below in the comment section. Are we completely off base on this one? Do you have the 2005 Pride Grand Prix Championship winner who finished Alistair Overeem back then? Or do you have the man himself, now representing Extreme Couture in Ovince Saint Preux? Big time fight on this main card. 3 big ones left that you're not going to want to miss. Keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks. We always say, let's get into it.